Today's guest is someone who didn't just survive stage 4 triple negative breast cancer. She redefined what love looks like in the middle of it. Jenn Greenhut is the author of Everyone Needs a Larry, Love with a Twist of Cancer, a story about partnership, resilience, and what happens when life forces you to confront what truly matters. What moves me most about Jen isn't the miracle of survival, it's the devotion, her humor, and clarity that came out of it. This conversation is about love under pressure and the kind of joy that isn't naive but chosen. Jen, I am so honored to have you here. Welcome.
I am so happy to be here too. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So, for those who don't know you, how would you introduce yourself today?
Okay, well, today I think of myself as a founder, as a author, as a speaker, and a life editor because I've just been given this crazy situation that has taught me so much about the power of love and joy and gratitude and trust. And it has changed my life for the better. And I look at myself now as somebody that I really want to share this with the world. So that's company founder, that's writer, speaker, and supporter of humanity. Let's say that.
I love that. Yeah. And before we go into diagnosis and everything that happened, who were you before this chapter?
Well, before this chapter, I had a bunch of different chapters. It started in New York City. I grew up there. I left home at 14 to train for the Olympics in gymnastics. So I was a very serious, hardworking, disciplined kid. I grew up in a culture where it wasn't about self-love and feelings. It was about hard work, results, achievement, and proving perfection. I ended up blowing out my knee. So I didn't get to the Olympics. I, was on the United States national team, but I ended up blowing out my knee and it basically led me to college, did it through college. And then I became an actor after that, a songwriter and a yoga teacher because I was always like very aware of training. I wanted to have a baby and a family and marry the dream guy and raise kids with my friends and my family and do all that. So I married Larry, the dream guy, found the dream guy. Now I'm like so excited I'm going to have a family. We met a little later, so it wasn't like I wanted to waste time just trying naturally. We went right into IVF. I'm like, this is happening. 3 rounds of IVF and I fail every round. And all of a sudden, my entire life that I was hoping for, that I worked so hard for, is not happening. What's going to happen to me? I went into a dark depression and I had that gymnast mentality of, it's my fault. I'm not good enough. Something's wrong with me. And when you don't think you're good enough, you also think everybody around you doesn't think you're good enough. And that leads to life not thinking I'm good enough. So I was in this really dark place, and yet I was married to the man of my dreams. So it was like a weird, guilty feeling, shame. Like I want to be so happy, and yet I'm not. We ended up adopting a dog as we paused to think, what are we going to do next? I fell in love with the dog. The dog became my baby. His name was Bo. And he opened me up in so many ways. And he also made me super sad because I was like, if I can love an animal this much, wow, I am missing out on loving a child. But I was moving forward. And then 6 months later, I'm diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And that's when my first reaction was, oh, I failed at my purpose in life. Life is killing me off. It made so much sense. I deserve this. I don't deserve to be alive anymore. So that was my first reaction. And yet I didn't want to die. I realized if I'm going to die, wow, I didn't even spend my life appreciating living. I've just been worried about everything that I don't have. And I never thought of everything that I do have. And wow, I had so much. And wow, I can't believe I'm going to miss out on everything. I just started praying. Please send me to the right doctor and making a deal with God. If I live, I will give back forever. You have me. Just help me, help me out here. I was looking for the signs. I had 3 doctor appointments set up in 3 different hospitals when I was searching for my oncologist. The first 2 were not giving me the feeling like they thought they could save my life. They thought they could treat me and help me live as long as possible, but I was going to die. That was basically what they were saying. And the third oncologist that I met at UCLA, he wasn't promising my life at all, but he was like, this is how I'm going to treat you. We're going to do chemo. We're going to do double mastectomy. We're going to do radiation. We're going to do more surgeries. He said, we're going to have to remove your ovaries. And he said, I know you've been wanting to have a baby. You will never have a baby. But I want you to know if you had gotten pregnant, you would have died. And that was my moment that life wasn't punishing me. Life had been protecting me this entire time. And I walked out of that office, cancer as a gift from God. And I was in it. I'm trusting this is going to turn out to be the best thing to happen to me. I'm going to love everything. I'm going to have gratitude for everything. I'm going to see what I have to heal. Long story short, I had a lot of work to do with self-hatred and not feeling good enough. And my big healing issue was all around self-love. And once I learned exactly what I was supposed to learn, I was cancer-free in 4 months. I mean, it was that quickly.
Wow.
And now it's 9
So
years later.
the one thing that comes to mind is, do you feel like you were pretty much in control of your life, or at least you thought you were in control of your life before that? Like, you're like, this is what it's going to be, and I'm going to make it happen. I mean, as a professional athlete, obviously, I mean, you had the discipline and the endurance and the resilience and all of that. But it sounds like at some point you gave up some of that control and you surrendered to what was. Would you agree with that?
There was a lot of surrender, and almost like surrender is the same word as trust, because I was like, I can't change what's happening to me, but I can change how I think about it.
Mhm.
And I knew there was a chance I was going to die. So I had to really think, like, if I'm going to die and it's going to be in about 2 years, these are the last 2 years of my life. I do not want to be miserable. I don't want to be sad. I don't want to be depressed. I want to live these last 2 years as full of joy, full of love, just full of appreciating being alive. So it was the choice, and that was my control or power of how I want to show up. But it was also the surrendering of what is happening and just not trying to change it. And that not trying to change it is almost like stop resisting life,
Right.
let life unfold. And it felt so freeing and easier to trust as opposed to fight it.
So there's something I'm really, really curious about. Was Larry always Larry, or did he become Larry through what you guys went through?
Yeah, it's funny because we had been married for a year and a half. We're newlyweds, wife, husband, and all of a sudden we're patient caregiver. And the first thing I said when I was diagnosed was like, I'm so happy it's me and not you,
Wow.
because I feel I can handle it, whatever it is. And he felt the same way. He was like, I'm not happy it's you, but he also said, I actually trust that my destiny is not to lose a wife from cancer this early. So we both had these narratives that I wasn't dying, which was helpful. But Larry, he is a great manager. That's what he did in the past. He was a music manager.
Oh, okay.
So he took care of artists and brought them to their highest goal or their highest level. So basically, he stepped into that management role and he brought his patient to where she needed to be. And we both learned so much about like me surrendering and receiving love, and him stepping up and not needing to be perfect or know what to do, but just show up. That was his lesson. I'm just going to show up. I love this woman. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I will be here for whatever she needs. And yeah, so he was Larry,
But there was some growth into,
yeah.
like, he had the backbone for it already, but
Yeah, the
it was
backbone.
a different circumstance of
Yeah,
applying himself.
it was like the same kind of tools.
Mhm.
Like, for example, like I had to rearrange my entire health insurance. I would not want to do that. He took charge of that. He's like, charge of everything. He's like, everything's filed, everything's set. He's checking to see that every bill is being paid and we're not being overcharged for anything. So he's really like the
Wow.
managerial skill person like that.
Mhm.
And what was crazy is because we were married so short, some people were like, you're so lucky that he's not leaving. And I'm like, why would he leave? And people said that to Larry, like, you're such a good guy for staying. And like, Larry's like, what do you mean? I mean, she's my wife. It's better for worse. So I guess there are a lot of people that just bail when
Yeah.
stuff happens. But we really, we had to learn how to love and communicate and go through this very early on, which is kind of cool because we got a lot of the hard stuff out of the way, hopefully, and
Yeah.
we made it through. So now we can sort of be in our honeymoon stage a little later.
Yeah. So besides the thought that you were glad it was you, not him, what was the other thing, one of the first things that came into your head as you heard this?
Well, the first thing was I wasted my entire life looking at what I didn't have when I could have enjoyed my entire life seeing how special it was just to be alive, seeing what I did have. I mean, I had an amazing family. I had friends. I had a home. I had food. I wasn't starving. I had so much. And I chose to look at what I didn't have. I didn't have the kids. I didn't have this. I didn't have that. So I realized, wow, that's just such a simple choice. And when I started looking at what I had, I realized the more you lean into the things that you have or just the gratitude, that grows. So it was like I was letting go of the negativity and the thoughts that brought me down, and I was choosing the thoughts that would bring me up and just fill me with joy.
Yeah.
So that was the first one. Second realization when I was diagnosed, I mean, it was really just like how special it is to be alive and how quickly it can change in one moment. And that changes everything. The first day that I was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, it was like the worst day of my life because not only was I diagnosed, but in the parking lot of the doctor's office that day, my husband, Larry, he ran over my mom's foot twice. So in the parking lot, this is happening. My sister and I are running upstairs to the doctor because I'm late. So already I'm like freaking out. And I also think I have stage 2 and not stage 4. I'm in the doctor with my sister. He starts telling me, I'm so sorry. Your PET scan shows something else. You have stage 4. And he starts going over this. I'm starting to be in the twilight zone. I'm holding her hand. I'm crying. I'm processing. I'm seriously dying. And then in the background, I see Larry pushing my mom in a wheelchair. And he's screaming for some kind of help. I'm pinching myself. I'm like, this has to be a nightmare. Wake me up. And I'm not waking up. I'm just waking up to this pinch. I'm like, this is really happening. And then when I did meet my third oncologist and he had told me that I would have died if I had gotten pregnant, I felt that same pinch, but it was from God. It was from the universe. Jen, we're here. We're here and everything's working out perfectly. And so I used that as I went through treatment when I was still afraid or freaked out or like, just trust, Jen, everything is working out. Pinch back to presence. And I still use it today, that pinch to remind me.
Yeah. So besides all your amazing positivity and your awareness for gratitude and all of that, I am sure there was fear. What did fear sound like in your head? Can you share that with us?
Fear that whatever I'm feeling is still not going to change the outcome. And there's nothing I can do about the fear. I can just feel it and also not change it, but just understand it's a real emotion, like joy is a real emotion. Why am I so judgmental of fear? Fear is a normal emotion to have right now. It's a pounding of the heart. It takes you out of the present mode. And because I was a yoga teacher, I work on meditation and presence. It was what it was. And I also could breathe through it and just sit with it. And for example, going through chemo, there was a lot of fear, not understanding what am I going to be like when I'm sick, or how am I going to
Mhm.
feel? Because like that to me was a complete change in my personality. And like, what am I going to be like as a sick person? But then going through chemo and just stepping into chemo one day at a time, you still are the same person. And the fear is just made up. The
Mm.
fear is what it's like the worst case scenario. And our minds like to just create something that's not true. So it was that kind of work. It's like you notice it, you feel it, you breathe through it, but you still choose, okay, I'm just going to show up. There's nothing happening right now. I'm alive right now. And you get curious.
Mhm.
You get curious about what's it going to be like losing my hair. It was cold. It was fun. It was cool. It was weird. I mean, it's all of that, but it didn't change me.
Right.
And then you experience it and you were like, okay, I'm so much bigger than all of this.
Yeah. That's something. I had skin cancer in my face and I lost half of my nose. And back then, there was a point where I thought, wow, this feels really different than I thought it would feel. Like you're in it and it's a different feeling. Like it doesn't feel like I thought it was going to feel. And you're just taking it step by step and you're just dealing with it step by step.
Yeah.
It's not like this hammer comes down and there's this verdict and that's it.
Yeah.
It's very different. And I could never describe that to anybody, that it's when it does happen, it's so different than what I thought it was going to be
Mhm.
like. And
It shows who you are, really. Was it a similar experience where you thought it was going to be so much worse than it
yeah,
actually was? Yeah.
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 Yeah. I didn't, I think I didn't, what surprised me is I didn't fall apart. I was still
Hmm.
like this oak that shows up in the rest of my life.
Hmm.
And not because I was pretending to be strong, but because I was like, no, we're going to figure this out. I'm going to take this step
Yeah.
one step at a time, and whatever it's going to be, it's going to be. I don't know. It was just very different. And I haven't thought about this until you described it now. And it comes back to me, and it's like, yeah, oh my God, I kind of forgot about that. But yeah, it's real. It's
Yeah.
very different.
I feel like we're all going through some sort of uncertainty in life,
Mhm.
whether it's cancer or just what's happening in the world, right? Like the world is weird right now. And yet we still show up for each other. We still show up in life while all of this is happening all the time. And it's, I think, our thoughts that either make it feel even 10 times worse, or
Mhm.
we just think about what we do, which is show up with kindness and love and joy. And we still live our best life while so much is going on all the time, good stuff, bad stuff, weird stuff, everything.
Yeah. At what point did you realize that you had agency in how you would deal with this and how you would walk this path? Was it pretty quickly after you got the diagnosis, or what do you remember?
Yeah, it was the day I walked out of the third oncology office. It was
Mm.
that quick because it was those 2 weeks of looking for a doctor and those 2 weeks of thinking I'm dying and the world hates me and this is it. And then that moment, I walked in thinking cancer was killing me, and I walked out thinking cancer was saving me. And that changed everything. That changed the entire course. That's when I trusted. That's when I believed. And that's when I got curious. What's this going to be like? And what am I going to learn?
Mhm.
And that's when I just kept saying, this is going to be the best thing to happen to me and to Larry. So it was like I wasn't doomed. I was excited.
Yeah.
And it was energetically, it changed me inside. And I had been so depressed before. And then I became so happy as I'm going through stage 4 cancer. It was it was so interesting, but it was the truth. And by round 3 of my chemo, I went to the doctor for my check-in, and he couldn't find anything. Like he couldn't feel anything. And he was like, "What happened? What have you done?" And I was like, "I don't know. I'm loving everything. I'm trusting everything." Like I
Wow.
really was, even meditations where I sat and I felt this huge tumor. Like I felt the density of this tumor. And I just talked to it. I said, "Thank you for coming. Thank you for leaving, for showing me what I need to learn." And I swear to God, like I felt it dissolve.
Yeah.
It was dissolving. And it was so powerful. When something like that, it feels like a miracle. You're like living this miracle. And that is so feeling like one with everything, and like not like God is God, but like you are a part of this divine magic in the world, and that you're a miracle. And if you are realizing something so special, you want everyone to know it.
Yeah.
So that's when I was like, what am I going to do? I want to raise money for cancer research and I want to share all these lessons. And I was like, the powerful thing is love. So it ended up, I created a tote bag that says love, and it would be sold and a way to give back. And it became a company called Love Zero Negative, and it became a foundation called the Zero Negative Foundation. And so everything was inspired by this journey and this passion to get it
Wow.
out there.
I want to talk about your book a little bit. Everyone Needs a Larry. Ultimately, to me, when I was going through this and doing my research about you and about your book, what I saw is that it positions love not as a feeling, but as action. And there's a lot of women listening to this who are either in relationships where they don't feel supported, or they're hoping for one that is. And what did you learn about what real partnership looks like?
Well, it looks like showing up. We wanted to write this book to honor the caregiver, and my caregiver happened to be named Larry,
Mhm.
but every caregiver doesn't have to be a spouse. It could be a friend, it could be a parent, it could be a brother, a sister, a partner, and everyone needs someone. What I mean, and everyone has somebody, even if they don't think they do. Like, I'll be your somebody. Just that's why the foundation exists, to show support and love for those going through treatment. But what does caregiving look like? That's the original question. Showing up for whatever needs to happen. I mean, it could say like, I never like the question, what do you need? Because that's too much for me to think of. I don't know what I need. I mean, I need this not to really be happening, but like what caregiving to me means is like, just send a text, I'm thinking about you, or I said a prayer for you today, how are you doing? Like those little gestures, like I remember receiving that and just feeling so held and just loved and supported, and that meant so much. For just when I was going through chemo, like somebody could say, can I drive you to chemo? That's caregiving. Can I bring you food and sit with you? Can I take you out to lunch? That
Yeah.
it's so little and it means so much.
Was there ever resentment or exhaustion or breaking points? Because, I mean, we don't want to romanticize this, but I'm sure there were moments that were tough, right? I mean, that's part of it too, isn't it?
There were a lot of moments that were tough. The chemo was probably the worst. I mean, it really brings you down. However, so I was the type of person that I could handle everything myself. I kept my feelings inside. And before Larry, I probably wasn't with a lot of in relationships where I like yelled and got
Mhm.
angry. So in this journey, because of the times I was so cranky or so exhausted or feeling so fatigued or sick, I just had these emotional outbursts. And like one time I screamed for my mommy because I was like, Larry's in his office. He doesn't understand how horrible I feel. I want my mommy. And that's Larry calling right now. I want my mommy. And crazy stuff that is funny now, but it also, like, as somebody that kept their feelings inside, it showed me how you don't have to be perfect. You can just show up and go through something and we stay together still. And there were a lot of times, like with Larry and I, because he was getting exhausted and he also couldn't fix anything really. We would communicate like writing letters to each other, emails, expressing our feelings, and also being able to be seen and heard and not triggered because we were able to read it and stuff. So we we found a way to stay sane and also go crazy
Together.
together. Yeah. I mean,
Yes.
there was a funny thing. So I last round of chemo, I'm feeling really sick and I'm moaning, I'm pacing, I'm just walking back and forth in the hallway, and he comes out of his office and he takes my hand. He's like, "Let's go to the bathroom. You need to throw up." He walks me to the bathroom. He lifts up the toilet seat and then all of a sudden he throws up. And I'm like, I feel better. That's weird. But that kind of stuff was like happening. So,
Wow.
and I
It
told you about
sounds.
my dog, our little baby, Bo. After
Mhm.
I survived, Bo had cancer after me a year later, and then he survived. But it was like, oh my God, this dog came to save my life too. He was part of
Yeah.
the rescue team. So there
Yeah.
were so many beautiful, like, little stories in this whole journey. And I think if you're looking for
Mm.
those, and you're also understanding this is a chapter, this is not my life, this is a chapter. And I want to write this chapter, and I want it to be a great chapter. And also, let's see, like, what's going to come out of this chapter that would not ever come from anything else.
Right. That brings me to the joy part.
Yes.
I mean, it sounds like joy was accessible for you during this journey. You found it, and but also it sounds like it was less about circumstances and more about presence, the joy that you found, which is very different than most of us live most of the time, right?
Joy is medicine, like laughter is medicine, and we all have different things that bring us joy. There were two things. Like one, Larry was a great caregiver in the sense that after every chapter through the cancer journey, we celebrated. So like the end of chemo, we celebrated. We took a trip to Cabo with friends and to say goodbye to the boobs because the next thing was the double mastectomy. So we honored that. And then we got through radiation. We honored that. We had little things like to celebrate what was happening, and also finding joy, like listening to music. I mean, to me, that brings me so much peace and joy. Going to comedy store, like we live in LA, so we went to the comedy store and we laughed. And what's going to make you feel better? We have a choice in bringing that. I love to dance. I love to sing. I love writing. Some people don't even know what really can bring them joy
Right.
until they start getting curious about it. So it's that choice to bring joy into your life. It's that awareness of what actually does bring me joy. And it's also finding the littlest things of just my coffee. It tastes good today. Because
Mhm.
after chemo, your taste buds change. And I'm like, I can't drink coffee anymore. It tastes so bad. And then all of a sudden it tastes so good. I'm like, "Ah, so happy."
I think that's something I talk to a lot of women about is that we defer joy because we think we have a lot of time. Like we all have endless amounts of time. Like we don't realize that it's not unlimited in our day-to-day lives. And I think when something like this happens and where you see your own mortality and you feel like the clock is ticking, you become much more of aware of the opportunities for joy,
Yeah.
which,
Well, you want more joy. If you're going to die soon, you kind of want more joy than pain.
right? Yeah,
And then if you think about it, we're all going to die. We all can fill our life with more joy if we just
right.
come to that awareness. Yes, I am going to die. And yes, I do have a lot of pain. I want to start bringing in more joy. And if we also look at joy as a medicine, like it could prevent cancer, it could prevent stress and anxiety by bringing in more joy.
I mean,
So it's not selfish. It's like, wait, I'm
no,
doing this because this is like a vitamin. And if I have more joy, then my whole family is going to have more joy. My friends are going to have more joy. I mean, we're all living for each other and ourselves. I mean, what do you like to do for joy? What's your joy medicine?
My joy is writing and painting and working out,
Yeah, I like,
moving my body
I love that too.
because it takes me out of my head and
Yeah,
I just feel and I can connect like the mind to each little muscle. And for me, it's like a meditation, which is really, really beautiful.
yeah,
I don't go for like really heavy reps anymore. Now it's more like, okay, I want to go inward. I want to connect with this one little muscle and just feel that.
yeah,
And it shuts out everything else. And to me, that is just so, so beautiful. Yeah.
yeah. I love that. Yeah, one
Is
of
it,
these days we'll have to work out together. I want to learn your way
if
of
we'll,
lifting.
we'll do that. Is there something that you were surprised about yourself? Something that you didn't know before?
Well, I'm surprised that I've become a founder of a company because I was never a businesswoman before. And yet I just had to figure it out. So, like, if 10 years ago, if you said you're going to be a founder of a company, a foundation, an author, like, that would be like, wait, that's not me. So I'm surprised that I've kind of figured out how to be a businesswoman and also at the same time learning that I want to call in that partner, that business partner in crime, because as much as I can do it, I don't like to do it. I know like it's way too much for me to do and create and design and develop programs and all of that stuff. So I think that's probably the most surprising thing. And the fact that I mean, I love being so happy. I used to not love being happy. I used to think being happy meant you were stupid. And I grew up in New York City and stupid people were happy and like depressed people were smart. So kind of like I always had a goal. I want to be depressed. And so now I just love being happy and I love being grateful just to be alive. Like I love all that stuff. And it was so not me before.
Yeah. I think you're, I don't know, from the outside looking in, watching you and hearing your story, I feel like I think that's something you and I have in common. Like after I sold my last company, I said I will never start another business. And 2 years later, I'm like, what am I doing? I'm like building something again. But I feel like there comes a point in life when it's fueled by passion, by love, by something that comes from your heart and your soul.
Yeah.
You have this desire to share it with people and to share it with the world. And it's so different versus when I started my first business in my early 20s, and it was out of survival. Like, I need to support myself and I need to make money. And it's such a different mindset.
Hmm.
And it comes from such a different place. And I feel I'm so grateful to be in this place today that I have created a life of freedom where I can make choices. And that's my picking joy to do things that fill my cup every single day. And sure,
Yeah.
it's a business, but that's not what I'm doing it for. Like, there's no ego. It's not about money, no ego. There's nothing in it but the pure joy of knowing that you can make a difference in people's lives. And
Hmm.
that I think that's a very different foundation
It's
than
it's so different and it's also like success, so successful to come from that place to be doing what you love to do and also what that love is so helpful to others. That's kind of my definition of success.
Mhm.
When your cup is full, your cup then it's filling everybody else's.
Yeah,
So that's to me, that is what we're all here to
yeah,
do. And we're all possible, we all have that capability. It's just finding that joy and that road and being open to not even knowing what that is
right.
yet. One thing I'm super excited about, because I love speaking
Mhm.
about the story because it's such a personal story, but I think it can be so universal because everything that I learned is such a universal
Mhm.
gift of the choice of love or fear, you know, gratitude or of anxiety. I'm going to do a TED talk this summer in
Yay.
Texas. So I'm so excited. And it's the theme is about the next chapter
Uh-huh.
and it's about showing up to your next chapter when your next chapter is something horrendous like cancer diagnosis, when you're
Yeah.
not picking your next chapter. Because I truly believe like life is always working out for us, but we can also believe life is not working out for us. And if we believe that, then we show up to our life that way. And it's
There's
just
that quote, right, where they
a
say
narrative.
whatever you believe, like you're gonna be right.
Yeah,
It
exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
So when we're so understanding, our thoughts are and our choices are really leading us. We're always in control. We're always empowered to make the better choice or the not so good choice.
When did you decide to write the book?
It was something that I wanted to do right early on when I was cancer free because
Mhm.
I felt like I got to share what I'm learning. And so the seed was planted. I told Larry this is what I want to do, and I was also journaling because I love, like you, I love writing. I journal every morning, so I was recording everything. I'm telling Larry about it, and Larry's like, "What about me? What about the caregiver?" I'm like, "What about the caregiver?" He's like, "Well, aren't I part of the process and the patient and the caregiver?" I'm like, "Yeah, yes, that's amazing." And so we were like, why don't we write a he said, she said story about surviving love, marriage, and cancer? And there was two voices. His voice is completely different than my voice. It's his journey through the caregiver side, my journey as a patient. You do remember the show The Affair? With it was like two perspectives on a marriage that was breaking down. It was affair. So we just thought, God, there's so many perspectives and so many stories in this one situation. And then once COVID hit and we were stuck at home and like, what am I going to do? Let's write the book. So it
Uh-huh.
came together during COVID. And then we found an editor and we found a way to get it out. So it was a lot of different steps. And it would have been so overwhelming if I knew what I was doing, but I was just like, I'm just going to write this and figure it. And I'm so excited for it because it's really a great book and it's not a sad cancer story. It's a
Yeah.
happy ending. There's so much humor, there's so much mess, there's so many mistakes, but there are also so many great tips and advice. And we wrote it for couples. And we hope it's going to be a movie one day because it's like a romantic comedy with cancer in it.
And that was going to be my next question. Who is this book truly for? It's for couples.
It's for couples.
Yeah.
It's for couples specifically. It's the best thing for couples going through cancer. But if it's just couples that are going through anything and they don't, as a couple, we don't want to be going into a not so good place. Like we want to grow and get better by this challenge. Like I wanted to get better as a person through stage 4 cancer. How can we use this to get better as a couple?
Yeah.
So it's really just a guide to empower couples to get through anything.
Was there a chapter in there that you were scared to publish, to share? Oh, that was tough.
And that was tough. I don't think so.
Hmm.
I mean, I think I was so scared of sharing everything before cancer. But
Mhm.
then to me, this was like sharing the humanness of everything is how you connect.
Right.
And if I wasn't going to share and be honest, then it would have been just kind of like not even a
Mm.
true story in a way. Like, I guess there were a lot of things that Larry was sharing that I was like, you really want to say that? But ultimately, I think as a writer, that's when I feel most in touch and honest. And there is no shame. This is just human. So, yeah, I like going as deep and as truthful as you can.
And what do you hope someone feels who read your book? What do you they hope they're going to get out of it for themselves?
One, I hope that they feel empowered, that they feel that maybe their story is different than mine, but they also understand that cancer isn't punishing them. They can choose to see cancer in a different way. And that choice in perception can make or break the entire journey. One, I hope that it ignites that deep love that we have inside of ourselves. And to remind everyone that self love is so important, and joy and gratitude, and that we can choose to trust what's happening to us, no matter how hard.
Do you think that was your miracle drug?
Yes, I think of them as superpowers.
Hmm.
Superpowers. And also, as a patient with my doctors, we're a team, right? I can't just say, fix me, heal me,
Right.
and not do anything. It's like a combination of picking the best doctors, finding the doctors you can trust, honoring treatment, not calling chemo poison, calling it healing medicine. We get to receive this amazing treatment that has been studied for so many years. And honoring the journey, honoring yourself, showing up in the best way is showing up with that self love, that gratitude for life and everything that we are receiving in life, and showing up with that trust. I'm going to trust that this is all happening for me. So that's what we can bring to the table. The doctors bring the treatment, they bring the care, and then we become a dream team.
Yeah. If someone is listening right now and they're in the middle of something they're struggling with, something terrifying, what's one micro choice they can make today? Where would you start?
I would start with, if there is a question that they think, like, why is this happening to me? If they can just practice saying, what's in this for me? And start looking at the possible gifts. And it doesn't take away the fact that what might be happening is horrible. And that sucks. And I'm sorry. And I want to give everyone a big hug because life is sometimes really horrible. But I do truly believe that if we come to a place of asking, why is this happening for me? What am I supposed to learn? Am I supposed to see myself in a different way? Is me healing through this something that is going to be my greatest superpower and make me so bright in the world? Yes, possibly. I truly believe sometimes our hardest chapters are the ones that make us the best that we can be.
Yeah.
So
Great.
it's having that trust and going through it one day at a time and finding support. Like, you don't have to do it alone.
Yeah. Thank you. Is there anything else you feel like we haven't talked about that deserves mentioning?
Well, just the magic of dogs. They're just drops of God, I think. So, especially if you're by yourself, I would suggest just having that love and letting that be part of your team. So,
I agree again.
yeah, have to have a
Yes.
doggy play date. And then it's like, just so nice to talk to you. This was a very real conversation.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you. Okay, before we close, I just want to name what we talked about because this conversation with Jen was so much bigger than cancer. Jen took us to the before, this high achieving, I'll make it happen kind of thing. Then the crash with IVF not working, the self blame, the heartbreak, and then a stage 4 diagnosis that would have broken everything. But instead, it became the moment she realized maybe life wasn't punishing me. Maybe it actually protected me. We talked about surrender, not as giving up, but as trust. And we talked about fear, how you don't have to fight it or be ashamed of it. You just breathe and stay present and take it one step at a time. We talked about what real love looks like in action. Larry showing up, not perfectly, but consistently, and how caregiving can be as simple as a text, a ride, a meal, a I'm here for you. And we talked about joy, of course, the way I mean it, not as in being naive or silly, but consciously chosen, celebrated in tiny moments, used like medicine, a micro choice at a time, shifting from why me to what's in it for me. Jen, thank you. Thank you for your honesty, your humor, your wisdom, and for reminding us that love isn't a concept, it's a practice. And to everyone listening, whatever chapter you're in, you don't have to do it alone. I will share all of Jen's information on the bottom of this show. And also remember, pick one micro choice today and let it bring it back to yourself. Jen, thank you for reminding us that love isn't theoretical, it's lived. And thank you for choosing joy in the face of all of this, of everything that your path presented to you. And you're such an inspiration. And I am so grateful that you came on my show. Thank you.
Thank you.